The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Monday episode of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. In fact, I'm going to pop up their logo since it's just me today, so you can always see what our wonderful sponsor is. Let's pop up Greenwood. There you can see him now in the corner. Greenwood Chevrolet, they go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here every day, not just on this show, but in everything that we do for YSN. We got a great show for you today. We're going to recap the weekend. What a weekend it was for Archbishop Hoban. Ty Bartel's going to pop in for a little bit around 1:15 just to talk about his weekend experience and what it was like to witness the Knights state semifinal and state championship wins. 53-47 was the final score of that state championship. They beat the reigning state champs, Pickerington Central, out of Columbus. It's a Columbus suburb. And they beat Mr. Basketball in Devon Royal. We'll talk about that with Ty in a little bit. And then we'll have some fun. We also have a pre-recorded softball preview to share with you guys. It's Michael Thorpe from Salem Softball, so we'll hear from him and preview the Quakers softball season. And they have a couple of good returners in that lineup, and I know a lot of people are thinking, well, they lost Riley Troy. How are they going to replace them? Well, they have a couple of freshmen coming up in the circle that are very good for Salem. We'll hear about them. That's just a little tease. But Michael Thorpe also coming. That interview will come a little bit later in the show. But before we start everything, like we always do, gotta do the softball of the day today. Like I said, different softball every day of the softball season, as long as till I run out. This is the Tennessee Volunteer Softball from 2015, and you can see, let's find it right here. Poland grad Aaron Gabriel's on it. 2015 Tennessee Softball. As you can tell, I have a thing for Tennessee softball, and they're one of the big reasons I got into softball as much as I did. When Erin graduated from Poland and went to Tennessee her freshman year, that's kind of the first year I really started to dive into college softball. And that was the team that you could easily fall in love with, went all the way to the championship series, and was a great team. I made a lot of great friends on that Tennessee softball team. So shout out to them. Shout out to Erin. Tennessee softball is your softball of the day. Now, moving forward, while we talk about the Hoban game with Ty in 15 minutes, I also want to talk about the scope of the state championships and what it kind of means for our area, because right now, in the basketball season, every year there's someone in the media, local media, that always is going to say, well, the Youngstown area, the Tri-County area, I guess you could say, another year without a state championship. Basketball in the area is down. And then, but if you look at it, and every time someone says that, I just have to hit them, not really hit them, but smack them with some knowledge, because yesterday was a glaring example of one of the reasons why it's hard for our Youngstown area, our Tri-County area, to get a team into the state championship. All the champions, every single one of them, divisions 1 through 4, came out of our region. Northeast Ohio swept the day in Dayton. Hoban, Buckdale, Lutheran East, and Richmond Heights. All four of them in our region, all four of them, one of our teams would have to run through them, and they're all four kind of established powerhouses. And just to put that point through, when I saw that Northeast Ohio swept the day, I was thinking to myself, well, that couldn't have happened, a lot. That can't be something that happened a long time ago. I mean, that can't be something that happened, um, too short a time ago. It happened in 2017. So that's twice in 6 years where Northeast Ohio, in the region in Northeast Ohio, has swept the state championships in boys basketball. That's why it has been a while since a tri-county area basketball team on the boys side has made it to the state tournament, because our region in boys basketball is just in a state right now that it's a gauntlet. It has a lot of powerhouses now. There's a super district, so it's even harder just to get out of the district, because some of these teams that used to be in the region are now in the district. That kind of morphed in the COVID year when we, put districts together. So this region is just so hard to get out of. And then I was thinking about it last night when Hoban won, to kind of polarize that. In the girls' side, we do see quite a few of our tri-county area teams make it to state in the last, you take it 25 years. We've had two state champions in the last 25 years with Salem, West Branch doing it in 2004. Salem got to the state semifinals the same year. Ursuline won it that year in a different division. We had West Branch go in 2015. We had West Branch go in 2020 when they got called off the court. We had McDonald go to the state championship game, and now we've recently had Springfield go to the state tournament. But I would bet, and I can't back this up with research, I haven't been able to dive into it yet, but if someone wants to dive in and prove me right or wrong, when you look at the Northeast Ohio region in girls basketball compared to boys, I would bet that there aren't nearly as many state champions out of the girls basketball region in the last 25 years that there are for the boys. Like the boys basketball state champions that have come out of our region. So the Northeast Ohio region, like this year, everyone came out of our region. I would bet that there's a lot more boys basketball state championships in our region than there are in girls basketball in the last 25 years. So what that tells you is it's a little bit easier for a dominant team in our area to get out of the region in girls basketball than it is, say, in boys basketball, because we've had a lot of very, very good basketball teams. I mean, 25 years, you could say, but even the last 5 years, you've seen some of the talent that has come through this area. But they're running into Richmond Heights, they're running into Bucktown, they're running into Lutheran East, they're running into all these like powerhouses. A few years ago was Canton Central Catholic in boys basketball in Division III. They're running into these powerhouses that are in the Northeast Ohio basketball region that are going to state and winning the state championship. So that's why it's been so difficult for our Youngstown area teams to get to Dayton and to get to Columbus before it was in Dayton, because it's such a tough region right now. So I don't want people to say, well, that's it, no state championship. Youngstown basketball is just terrible. It's in a downtrend. It's not good, because every year without a state championship in the Youngstown area, we get that. We have to hear somebody say it, that basketball is down in the area. We don't have enough talent. And it's just a lot of hogwash. I mean, you look at the next level basketball players that we are sending for these schools, and we look at the 1,000-point milestones that we're getting, and we look at the talent that is in our area. It is not down. It's just the region is so up that it's really hard to break through it. It's almost like that that era in the NFL when it was the Colts and the Patriots that were just the AFC running the show for 11, 12 years. It was like, how many other teams outside of the Steelers a couple of times broke through that and got to the Super Bowl out of the AFC? Not too many. And then if it wasn't the Patriots or Colts or Steelers, it was almost nobody. I think the Ravens did it a couple of times. But you look at the Super Bowl kind of history in the last 20, in that 20-year gap, if it wasn't Brady, Manning, or Roethlisberger, it pretty much wasn't anybody out of the AFC. Kind of the same kind of conundrum inside the boys basketball regional because it's so hard for really good teams to break through it. There were good AFC teams in that time. I mean, Baltimore was always good. There were good teams that came up, but you're going to run into Tom Brady, right? You're going to run into the Patriots. You're going to run into Peyton Manning. Same thing here. You're going to run into Richmond Heights. You're going to run into Lutheran East. You're going to run into Bucknell. You're going to run into Hoban. Congratulations to Hoban, by the way. Glad that they're a YSN school. But you're going to run into one of these teams, and it's just tough to get out of the region. It really is. It's a great Northeast Ohio basketball. It's great Northeast Ohio, which means when you micro-local it and say this Tri-County area is struggling right now in basketball just because they can't get out of the region, it's kind of short-sighted. You're not seeing the big picture. You're not seeing how good this area, this expanded area of Northeast Ohio is at basketball. And like I said, they swept the state championship this year, and they swept the state championship in 2017. That's 2 of the last 6 years that Northeast Ohio in boys basketball has swept the state tournament. Now we're going to have Ty Bartell come on and talk about his experience in Dayton. Ty, you can hop into this conversation. I was just talking about how good Northeast Ohio basketball is and how kind of unfair it is to say that the Tri-County area in the Youngstown kind of niche is down because they can't get out of the region because the region just swept the whole state tournament this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was the second time in the last few years, too. 2017, I believe, was another occurrence when that happened as well. And I mean, the Northeast is doing just fine as far as basketball is concerned. And yeah, I can understand where it feels like you might be down in some counties because the region itself is so strong. But I mean, getting out of the regional is like almost winning a state in of itself, too, because of how strong that Northeast region is. As once you get out of it, you sometimes, at least as the last few years have proven, are one of the favorites, it looks like, to win the state final.
Let's talk about your weekend. You went down with Archbishop Hoban for the state semifinals and state championship. Let's talk about the Saturday first. I mean, Hoban comes into Dayton for the first time in 25 years, but they look like the more seasoned team. They just ran away with the state semifinal. What do you see out of their composure and their ability to handle the stage of the state semifinals so quickly?
The two constants about this Hoban team, this whole playoffs, has been that they play really good defense and they move the ball really well, play very unselfish basketball. And they've really kept up with that theme the entire playoffs, and that's what's got them as far as it did this entire season. I was just really impressed with how composed every single one of those players have been, despite not ever being at that stage before. And like one player to mention, I mean, our freshman of the year, Sam Greer, had a double-double in Saturday night's game, 12 points, 12 rebounds. He's a freshman, and he's going up against some of the best in the state at a state semifinal. And just to see what they were able to do, what he was able to do, what the team was able to do, it always felt like when they needed something, someone was able to step up. It's never just one guy that they depend on. They depend on all five equally when they're on the floor.
Sam Greer, freshman of the year. I love that when we released that, there were people that, weren't familiar with Hoban yet. They're a brand new YSN school. They were sitting there like, okay, why? And then the regional final and the state semifinal, he locks in a double-double. What a great performer. What a great guy that Sam Greer is. Ty, talk about the state semifinal, winning that, and what it was like to go right back the very next day, no breaks at all. No really time to recoup. You just have to get right and ready for the reigning state champion in Pickerington Central.
Talking with Coach TK Griffith, he told me that he didn't sleep much this whole week, and so he tried to sneak in a half-hour nap on Sunday, but that even was hard to do. There was so much excitement, so much anticipation for that Sunday night game. But as Coach would said too, I mean, you wouldn't trade it for the world. This is what you sign up for. It's survive and advance, and you're not going to trade that position. You're going to deal with it as it is too. And I mean, for this Hoban team and this whole stretch, this whole run, it's been about battling adversity. And if you kind of look into the history a little bit, even just recent history, it's very unique. I mean, beating Canton Glen Oak in the district semis, that was one of the 3 teams that owned a victory on Hoban this year. They were able to beat them in that district semis. Beating Lakewood St. Ed's, who knocked Hoban out last year in the Elite 8, they were able to get over St. Ed's in that game. The next one against Walsh Jesuit in the regional final, Walsh had beaten them 3 out of the last 4 years to knock Hoban out of the playoffs and has owned Hoban in the tournament. They were able to get over the Warriors to get themselves into the state semifinal. And of course, you get to the state final, and what do you have to do but beat last year's state champions to be able to do it? So, I mean, the storybook was complete last night. Chapters were written left and right, and it was just an incredible run filled with so much history, so much adversity that this Knight squad had to get over.
You go through the history, and it feels like every time they played, they were the underdogs almost because they were playing these teams like you said. Glen Oak, who had beaten them this year, St. Ed's, who knocked out, was considered to be a favorite in the region. Then you go in the Walsh, and Walsh had beaten them a lot in the tournament. And then you go into the state championship. You're playing the reigning state champion. You're playing Mr. Basketball. I mean, from your perspective, what was it like watching this team embrace the underdog mentality a little bit and to be able to go into every game with a little bit of that chip on their shoulder and play with that "we're going to prove you wrong" mentality?
I saw so many parallels, and I mean, I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but I seen it certainly. I saw so many parallels between this Hoban team and the South Range Raiders football team this previous football season, as far as like the mentality, right? Like you talked about having Mr. Basketball on your team, like that Hoban mentality for that's great. They have that guy. We have a pretty darn good team over here as well. We can overcome and we can advance. And Sam Grigg, you want to talk about him? He went right at Mr. Basketball. That was the primary matchup. He had double-digit scoring, and he played a whale of a game defensively against Mr. Basketball. And there was also a really cool moment when we got to see Lamar Sperling guard Mr. Basketball. So you had a cool moment of Mr. Football guarding Mr. Basketball, and I don't think that's happened too often in these type of games. So that was definitely another cool moment that happened on the floor.
Talk about your experience. You got to be with Dom O'Brien, and you go down there Saturday expecting to be there Sunday, but it's up in the air. You never know how a semifinal is going to go. What was it like just taking in Dayton and being on a floor that a couple of days ago hosted the first four for March Madness and now hosting the state championship? What was that like for you?
I was just grateful for the opportunity, and to be honest, I mean, just to be on that kind of stage, to be there every step of the way in this run of this tournament with this Archbishop team, it's something I won't forget for the rest of my life, and it's definitely going to be memories I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to do it and to be the one to kind of guide and tell the story of the Archbishop Hoban Knights state championship win this year.
You said it on the air, celebrate like it's 1989. You were on the court with the team afterwards. I saw you get the interviews. What was the atmosphere on the court like after that buzzer went off and they were celebrating a state championship?
Oh my God. I mean, it's to say that Hoban family, it's not just a tagline, right? They really embrace it up there. And I mean, in just the short time I've gotten to experience how that crowd and how that atmosphere of how that the Hoban family really interacts with each other, it really does embrace that family moniker. And Coach TK Griffith being a principal there too, so much love given to this man too. Every time they announced his name, it felt like the whole arena's roof was ready to blow off. I mean, he has given so much to that school, so much to the program, so much to this team. 30 years coaching. Last time they were in the States, he won it in 1989 as a player. He made it one other time in 98 when they lost on a buzzer beater in the state Final Four. And then 25 years later, takes his youngest son, a senior this year, to the state championship and gets an experience with that as a coach now. I mean, like we said, storybook endings, you don't get to see them written like that all too often, but it certainly happened for the Knights. And I mean, just that whole community. Hoban's the place to be at. I mean, you look at the football state championship a couple years ago, baseball in 2021. Like this is the place to be in the last few years as far as athletics. They seem to find ways to keep bringing home rings to Archbishop Hoban High School.
A lot of talent coming through that place right now, that's for sure. Ty, you got to talk to TK Griffith all season. What do you think this means for him? I mean, you said that he played in the last state championship they won. He's a principal of the school. He celebrates all their athletics and all the things that Hoban's able to do. You look at his social media page, that guy seems like he's everywhere. He's got like a teleportation device that can just pop him into a basketball game, and then he'll be at a swim meet, and then he'll be at the debate meet. What was it like to see that man and TK Griffith kind of finally raise the trophy and to be able to bring a championship to a school that he obviously loves so much.
You know, for me, it was an awesome experience to just see him be able to accomplish that, because I mean, you're rooting for him, and I mean, just getting to know him in the short amount of time that I have, and how much I was rooting for him, I can't even imagine how much the entire Hoban family was hanging on to this, wanting this victory for him so badly. Like, you want to talk about a guy that bleeds blue and white? Look no further than TK Griffith. The man, like I said, has been serving there 30 years as a head coach, has been is a principal there currently too, and he's just as proud of the fact that they have over a 3.0 GPA at that school as he is about the state championship run. He definitely looks at the student part as well as the athlete part, and just raising the next generation of good young men and women for the world too. So the fact that he's given so much to that school, and they give him all that love right back, and they're able to now celebrate it with that state championship, kind of that cherry on top. And Dom and I were talking in the broadcast last night. I'm like, you have a Hall of Fame resume. I think he's 12 wins now away from 500 in his career. You want that state championship though, as like that little extra on that resume to help you get over there. I think TK Griffith is definitely a Hall of Famer. He's got my vote, no doubt. When it's all said and done, he's done nothing but great things for that Hoban community and family.
Between the two coaches on the basketball sides, over 1,100 career victories. Talk
It's
about a
incredible.
pedigree in the basketball scene on Hoban. Ty, you've done a great job kind of taking the Hoban basketball team under your wing. When we signed the midseason, you were the one that said, I'll do it, and you did it. And great job. Congratulations on being able to call a state championship. I know personally for you, that was a great moment. Congratulations to Hoban on winning it, of course. And one more basketball game to cap off the season. We'll see TK Griffith on the sidelines at Youngstown State University. And Will Scott Jr. has also etched his name into the all-star roster for the boys basketball game on Saturday, March 25th. We'll see you there, Ty. Thanks for the time. We miss you on Running Point. Hope to get you back on soon.
Yeah, no doubt, Anthony. And yeah, there might be a lot of local all-star games going on, but you just got to remember the state champions are the ones that are playing at YSN. So we'll see you Saturday night at the Bigley Center.
There you go. We're bringing the trophy too. Tell TK, bring the trophy.
So sounds good, and I'll see you Saturday at Bigley.
We'll see you, bud. Ty Bartell, the voice now of the Hoban Knights State Championship. Him and Dom O'Brien had a great call last night as the Knights raised their first trophy since 1989. And like Ty said, the last time they did it, head coach TK Griffith was a member of that team. And now he gets to raise it as not just a coach, but also a principal of those student athletes. I love that he's just as proud of the GPA that they've been able to put on as he is of the basketball accomplishments. Over a 3.0 GPA on that team. Those kids are not just there to play basketball. They are there to be a student athlete. Student comes first. And then they're also there to be stewards and servant leaders in their community. One thing you know about Hoban athletics, no matter what athlete or what sport we're talking about, they do a wonderful job reaching back out to the community and having community service projects once a year that they're able to do. So not just leaders on the court, leaders in the community, servant leaders. I am a very, very adamant supporter of, you have to be able to serve to be able to lead. And those kids do a great job of serving the community and serving their brothers on the court. So congratulations again to Hoban. Before we get off of that subject, I want to dive into some stats in that Hoban championship game. Once again, the final score was 53-47. Hoban gets the win. And you look at the stats, and it kind of reflects exactly what Ty was talking about, where they rely on everybody on the floor, because there wasn't one guy that really popped out above the rest. I mean, Logan Vowles, he led them with 17.7 rebounds, but then Will Scott Jr. had 13, Sam Greer 12 points, 24 points in 2 games for our freshman of the year. He had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. Scott had 8 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. And then you even look at Andrew Griffith, just 1 point off of double figures with 9 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist. And then Jonas Nichols, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals. So you even look at Jonas Nichols, who, you'll look at, a lot of people just look at the points, right? And say, okay, he didn't really have a good game. He only had 2 points. but he also led the team in assists with 5. So he sacrificed a couple of points. He's responsible for at least 10 if all those 5 assists were from 2-point, if some of them were from 3, more than 10. So you could argue that even though Jonas Nichols is responsible has only put 2 points in the board himself, he's responsible for being in double figures with the assist numbers that he was able to put up. I want to go into some more stats on the OHSAA website. They do a great job giving us the live stats from the game, and it really breaks down a good job. Does a good job of breaking down the the story of the game. And I think one of the storylines, as you look at it, Hoban had a total of just 5 turnovers on the day, and they forced 5, 7, 11, 12, 13. So they won the turnover battle. They definitely won the rebound battle, 32 to 30. It was close, but they won it. Free throws, that was one thing that Hoban probably wishes they were a little bit better at, especially down the stretch. 4 of 10 on the free throw line compared to 4 of 7 for Pickerington Central. You look at the field goal percentage, though, 40% from the floor and 40% and 33%, I should say, from 3-point land. They hit 7 out of 21 threes, and they hit 21 out of 52 shots. Pickerington had a better shooting percentage, but they also had much fewer shots. So Hoban's defense was keeping them off of the shot selections, and they shot for 42%. But one of the other glaring differences is that 3-point percentage. Pickerington Central shot below 20%, just hitting 3 out of 16. Hoban did a good job of keeping the Tigers off the 3-point line. One of the big reasons why they were able to play such good defense and hold a very good Pickerington Central team to just 47 points. Devin Royal, Mr. Basketball on the state of Ohio, he finished the game with just points is at the he finished with 15. He averages a lot more than that. So below his average, you're going to let Mr. Basketball get his points for sure. But 15 is probably a success when you look at defense played against Devin Royal in the season he's been able to have, the career he's been able to have at Pickerington Central. So all around, Hoban did a really good job on Saturday. They got hot in the fourth quarter on offense, was able to keep away the Tigers and win that game. It was close, neck and neck the whole way. Hoban gets the win, first state championship since 1989. Congratulations again to the Hoban Knights. We are so happy for you and your coaching staff and your athletics board and everyone involved with that victory. Couldn't have felt better from Archbishop Hoban, and we salute you, and we congratulate you again on a state championship. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a softball preview. Michael Thorpe from Salem will be you'll be able to hear from him in a pre-recorded interview next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Back in a bit.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
And welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We thank them for their constant support of this show and everything that we do at YSN. You can see them up in the corner right there. And we continue this this great Monday afternoon, Monday, March 20th, which means by next week we are 7 days away from every baseball and softball team being underway. Some of them start on Saturday, but all of them will be started by next Monday, weather permitting. So with 1 week away, we're going to continue our spring sports previews as we have Michael Thorpe from Salem Softball. He's going to preview the Quakers season. It's going to be a great one in Salem. I think they have some returning talent in the lineup, and they also have some young talent coming up in the circle to try to replace the fantastic arm of Riley Troy and all that she was able to do for him last year in the circle. So here is Salem Softball Preview, Coach's Corner, Episode 1 with Michael Thorpe. Anthony Hartwig here with another Coach's Corner out of the softball world. We're talking with Salem head coach Michael Thorpe today. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's another year for Quaker softball, and I'm sure you are excited to start it and talk about this season. But before we get there, let's reflect on last year. We don't really get to have the exit interview with you guys after the season is over. When you take some of the lessons off of last year and you think of some of the way that the players that are coming back can grow from last year, what were some of your takeaways from the last season on the softball diamond?
I thought we were aggressive. We did pretty well through the beginning and the middle of the season. I believe that we played more games than anybody in the state in the regular season, or at least as many. We got all 27 of our regular season games in. I know there were some teams that got like 16 or 17 games in or less. So we were very fortunate there, had a good grounds crew and just timing of everything. But I think the marathon at the end of the season kind of weighed on some of those girls that haven't played year round and weren't used to that grind, because down the stretch we kind of we didn't reach our peak at the very end, but a lot of exciting stuff happened during the season, and I'm really looking forward to picking it up this year.
Did it kind of teach you anything about this year, about how you want to adjust things to reach your peak at the end of the season?
Yeah, we're going to pace it a little more. We give them some Saturdays off. We try to double up on the weekdays so they can recharge on those weekends. The weather hasn't allowed us to get out on the weekend too much anyway, so it's kind of went hand in hand with that. And then we also have two pitchers, I think, that'll compete for pitch time. And historically, we've had one number one eat 90% of the innings. So that might help.
Know that weather can take those plans though and just crinkle them up and throw them out the window.
Right.
So we're hoping for a better spring this year, Coach. Let's get into this season and what your roster kind of looks like. I want you to break down the Quakers roster and talk about some of your returning players that Quaker fans are familiar with, and then talk about some new faces that Quaker fans need to get familiar with pretty soon.
Okay. Well, our cleanup hitter, Mac Zumbar, should start at first base. I think she only struck out 6 times last year, so she's a solid bat in there and continuing to get better year to year. Second baseman, sophomore Sophie Maniscalco, will be back in that position, and I believe, starting all freshman year, she'll be a whole different player this year, and we've already seen that, even though she had a solid season last year. Shortstop is one of our captains, Chase Toy. She's a senior, a year-round kind of girl, always in the gym, continuing her hitting lessons, that kind of player. Third base, we're going to kind of split it up a little between catcher and third base. We have Bella Brandt back, a junior, a lot of power there, and then Channing Toy, sophomore, will be back catching in third base. She's our leadoff hitter. I'm excited about her. I know she's going for that stolen base record. She's already got that on her list right now. Left field, Kylie Skinner, a senior, will be back with us. Played a lot last year. We moved Lauren Barton over to center field. She's a junior with a ton of athleticism. We're still trying to figure out right field a little bit, but we're really excited about the two pitchers we have. We have two freshmen to play year round, and they're two different style pitchers. They go to two different pitching coaches. And I think since I've been at Salem, this is the first time they've deviated from the pitching coaches that we've had for the past pitchers. So I'm kind of excited about that and the blend of the differences between the two. We have Kaylee Johnson, a senior, can play anywhere on the field, good utility player as well. Hadley Carlisle's a freshman with a big bat coming in. And we have Paige Mino, Sereni Wang, who have a lot of excitement. One of them's a freshman. And then Sammy Gaynor, I'm really excited about her bat. She's come on a long way. So that's pretty much our varsity roster there, and I'm really excited about what all of them bring to the table.
As softball fans know, everything starts in the circle with the pitching. You brought up you're going to have two freshman pitchers that bring kind of different styles to the circle. What's that going to be like for you as a coach to have a 1-2 punch where if a team gets a little bit used to one pitcher, you can throw another one in as kind of a wrench into that timing?
It's exciting because again they're two different styles, and I've coached high school for 12 years, and we've always had that number one that we've seemed to had to go back to even if we switched it up a little. And these two I could really see complementing each other all season as they learn the ropes, and again down the stretch should save them both from getting kind of tired like we've had some pitchers in the past, and that's not a shot on those pitchers. I think even back Claire Janife might have pitched 166 of 169 innings one year, which is a lot to put on anybody. And Riley Troy last year, and then even my daughter Taylor Thorpe, they were in that same boat where we seem to have to go back to them. And I don't see that happening this year. Both freshmen are really poised to take off and above their years in maturity. So we're really looking forward to that.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. We're going to miss Riley Troy in the circle, but good to hear that you guys are going to have a freshman in the wings that are stepping into that role. Let's talk about your offense and your lineup. What kind of things are you expecting out of the 1 through 9, and what kind of things do you think you're going to be able to do with this offense?
Well, a lot of them have been working hard. We stole 93 out of 100 bases last year, and that was legit stolen bases, not pass balls, wild pitches, and things. But where we had trouble was some of those elite pitchers we didn't get on to create that offense. So that's what we've been working hard on this year, especially those in-conference teams with those pitchers, and where you really have to grind it out and get the hits to get on. You can't really do some of that small ball and move the runners around, artificially a little bit. So they make you earn everything. So, we might average one stolen base against certain teams in the conference where we get 6 or 7 in some other games and really create that offense we need. But we've been working hard on hitting the changeup, getting on more, hitting the speed, the movement. And I'm hoping that batting average ticks up because the stolen bases from there and the little things we can do should help us a lot, put up some more runs.
Talk about the schedule you've put together. Obviously, everything starts with that league, EBC. Always good in softball. Obviously, Marlington right now has a lot of good female athletes in every season, so their softball team, very good. West Branch always puts together a great team as well in the EBC. What are you looking out for in this conference, and what kind of things do you expect the Quakers to do inside the EBC?
Marlington and West Branch do set the bar, like you said, and Minerva, Alliance, Carrollton, those games. We were in a lot of close games. We got to finish those games and then match up with those two towards the top there. I know West Branch has a sophomore pitcher, Clary McKay, that does a real good job, and they'll be back as usual. And Marlington's just loaded up and down. So competing with those two teams and winning a lot of those close games, that's going to be the difference for us.
What teams pop up outside of the conference that you're excited to test yourselves with and you're excited to kind of challenge yourselves with? Obviously, you guys have a smaller conference than most, so you're able to beef up your schedule with a lot of non-conference games.
Yeah, so we have Akron Springfield in a doubleheader, and we came back twice on them last year, and I know they're excited to play us. Those were two really good high-scoring games. They're a perennial powerhouse, so we're looking forward to taking a trip down there this year. United, Beaver Local, those programs are definitely on the upswing, and they're always going to be a competitive game. We had a 1-0 and a 3-2 game last year with those two respectively, and I know they both want to get back at it, and their programs, even at the youth level, coming through, they're going to be somebody you're going to be talking about for years as well. Crestview is another team that we'll really have to match up well against, so we're looking forward to that matchup as well.
One of the things that is apparent about Quaker softball every year we follow it is the personality of this team and how much you guys are able to have fun with each other. Go over the personality of this team. You've been able to spend a couple weeks with them now. What are they like, and what makes this team unique?
Each year it grows. I mean, we got a lot of traditions we do, and a lot of exciting things. The Tennessee trip. I know we touched on it last year, and we try not to talk about it till we get there a little bit because it is the highlight of the season in most ways. We did a princess fundraiser where the girls were dressed up as princesses. We raised some money there, but most importantly, they bonded. They had a great time, and it's another tradition we'll add to that. We do a Quaker Grace where we raise money for foster children, and then the girls get to go out and shop and give back. And even through that giving back, they get back, if you will. I mean, to team unity and shopping for those children, and just to see those kind of things, and to the fact that they want to do it is it's really rewarding as a coach, and exactly why we all coach.
So that answer brings up a couple of questions. First, I'll ask about giving back to the community like you guys do. Obviously, the Quakers have a great community that supports you guys every game. You guys have a really good crowd that comes out to your softball games. What's it mean to you and the players that you're able to give back to the community like you do?
It means the world. I mean, I know it means the world to me personally as well. And each girl is touched in that. I mean, they put their own touch on what they want to buy. I mean, they're thinking of those children and what they might need and what they might want. And I mean, it's just kind of special to watch, and it's growing each year in that regard. So I really love the fact that we're involved in that, and nothing gets us closer than things like that.
Then I want to ask about the trips you take. Obviously, Tennessee's been the one last couple of years, but this team has always been able to kind of take some road trips and grow and bond and build chemistry in that kind of aspect. What are the most important parts of those trips and make you want to make it a part of the schedule every year?
It's everything about the trip. Really hope maybe YSN can get down there next year or the year after. We plan on keep going, just to kind of see it up close too, because nothing can really explain it. There's just something magical about it. It really brings us together. I had a coach in the past. I won't mention the name, of course, but she said, "Hey, we can't go over Easter. You know, these kids can't be away from their families. You know, and I understand that." But my reply was, "This is family for some of these kids too. I mean, they appreciate their own families at home, but I mean, we're family when we're out there, and you know, our Easter dinner, optional church service on Sunday, the trip down, the music." Sometimes the little shenanigans, the practical jokes and all that. Last year, you remember the bear story. I mean, we can go on and on. Every year has its own stories. And I'll have kids come back to me and talk to me about that. And, you know, sometimes it brings a tear to my eye because I know how special that trip is to the kids.
And I'm sure there are a lot of the families that kind of make that their spring break vacation. I'm sure there are families that go down with you and parents that go down with you. So, what have you seen from just the parent group and what that trip does to build unity within, the outside of the roster? But obviously, parent and they're getting along is important for the program as well.
Yeah, that's growing year to year. I think the first year we went down there, we might have had one parent go down. I don't think they thought we were going to go on the trip and raise that kind of money. But it has grown so much that I don't even know exactly how many parents are going down, but it's a lot. And I know at the fields, and even last year, I mean, just to see the bonding, we eat lunch together. They'll meet up with their kids. Sometimes they could take their kids out for Easter and spend that with their family on Easter. So there's a lot of, you know, it's growing year to year. And I really think that it's almost all, you know, probably about 80% of the parents this year.
I tell you what, if you cram me in the back of the bus, I'll go with you.
I did message you guys. We got a cargo van. So there's one
That's
extra
cargo
seat.
van.
There's a cargo van, one extra seat, a driver, and room for some equipment.
Throw me in with some luggage. I'll be good to go.
There you go.
When you think of some of the things that keep you coming back to coaching in this game, obviously you've been doing it for a little bit. What are some of your favorite things about coaching softball at this level in particular that keeps you coming back?
Well, I mean, all the wins, of course, searching for records and all that is important. But some of my favorite memories at the banquets is when somebody was told they were JV or somebody was put in a certain spot in the lineup and they proved us wrong. And those are some of my biggest moments. I'll tell anybody is when somebody overachieves or proves you wrong. I guess I'm an underdog at heart. So when those stories come up, and they come up naturally, sometimes every year there's one or two, you're like, wow, that girl's really popping the ball. those kind of moments, amongst everything else, they're special when you remember them. In fact, we got a girl on staff that was told she was JV. She broke down in tears her sophomore year. She worked hard to try to get to varsity, and then we were ended up playing Lisbon, who at the time had a slower pitcher, and we were really struggling. And one of the girls couldn't make it there, so I did bring her up. And at the end, I said, "Hey, let me give her a pinch hit. Maybe that slower pitching she might have been used to." And she stuck the whole year, lettered, and ended up starting by the end of the year. So those stories there, and just the unity down on these trips, that means the world to us.
I mean, that's awesome because you see a lot of coaches that don't like to be proven wrong like that, and they might dig their feet in. But I think it's one of the best parts of coaching is when someone kind of proves your idea wrong.
Right.
Obviously, you're involved in the travel ball as well. What is it about travel ball that you think is really growing and really making a lot of these high school teams a lot better? Seeing a lot more players, like you said, you have a couple of players this year that are playing year-round softball. What does that do for a kid to be able to get into the travel ball world?
I always say it speeds them up like a year or two on where their progression would been. So sometimes you see a sophomore, just a lot more like what a junior would be without it and things like that. It gets to their athletic peaks, if you will, sooner. Just all those reps and grinding it out with tough teams and just playing more in general. I mean, you see it in every sport, AAU, JO. I mean, the teams that have the girls to do that, they seem to be better in all those moments, and they seem to they've been through more fire all year.
You know, you said it before. Last year, you guys got to play a lot of games, a lot more than a lot of people in Ohio because of the field crew you had. I want to give you a chance to shout out the field crew and the people that make your field so playable and the people that put the work in to give you guys great playing service.
I'm a really, I don't mean to underscore anybody, but I really think Matt Freeman does a great job. He gives us flexibility and matching up opponents when we get rainouts, which I'm active in trying to find somebody. He's just done a great job of doing whatever we need to get games in. And it shows. I mean, we got all 27 regular season games in. I mean, nobody could get more. So, I give him a lot of the credit for organizing all that, allowing us to do some things on our own too, to make all that stuff happen. And then the Salem Parks district, getting the JV field ready and everything. I mean, and then giving us a place to play if our field isn't ready. I mean, that's just been big time.
Still had to dodge some weather last year and some adversity. What did that teach you about kind of softball and not taking it for granted?
Yeah, I said it before about the COVID year. No year is going to be taken for granted. And the trip was ripped from us 2 years in a row too. So each year, weather-wise and everything, we just take each game as we can get it. We're grateful to play. So again, if we didn't get all 27 games in, it doesn't mean we're not grateful, but I think you know me by now. We're going to try to get every game in we can because we need that experience to offset some of that travel too. If we get another 7-8 games in, then maybe some of our oppositions that girl by the next year just got a little better.
Opening day is coming up. It's 2 weeks away now, or less than 2 weeks away, actually. What are your goals in the next week of scrimmages to get ready for opening day?
We've had 3 scrimmages to date, so we got one more with Springfield, who has a really good pitcher and a really good senior-laden team over there. I know a lot of those players from my building, and they're going to have a great season. So that's going to test us and kind of get us ready for a regular season. But we're looking to get to what we call the serious part of our practice, really just getting ready for those games, game-like situations. We scrimmage ourselves every Friday as well, and that's been helping us with both pitchers going on each team.
All right, Coach, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to also give a shout-out to your coaching staff and the people that help you make this program as good as it is. We know that you can't do it alone, so I want to give you the time to kind of give them their flowers and their time in the light.
Okay, and I appreciate that because it takes more than one person, as you know. And Eric Markovich is my assistant. He's been there for a long time, an alumni. Does just a great job with the girls and everything else. And, of course, he's going down on the trip. Kyle Gaynor is our JV head coach. Can't be a finer gentleman than that, and he's a great friend of mine now. And then Madison Markovich, Eric's daughter, who was an alumni that played with us with my daughter a while back. She's back on the staff, and I'm really excited to see everybody pitches in. Everybody does everything for this trip. I mean, and as well as the season, there's no way one person could do it all. And without these people, I mean, that stuff just doesn't happen for the girls.
Coach,
I did want to thank Juan, too.
You're good. Go.
Sorry. I just wanted to thank Juan. He's been a good mojo for us.
You can't deny the good mojo, right? If someone's
right.
bringing good mojo, then keep him up. Coach, we thank you so much for your time today and giving us a good preview of the Quakers season. We wish you the best of luck this year, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, and I'll see you in that cargo van.
Let's go.
All right. Have a good one.
I am don't know if I think I'm regretting the cargo van idea. Now that I think of it, like crammed in a cargo van with Mike Thorpe and the craziness of seeing him. So I don't know. We're gonna have to think about that one. Even though I'm wearing Tennessee stuff, right? Knoxville isn't too far from Pigeon Forge. I think they're on the opposite sides of the state. East Tennessee, Pigeon Forge is a little bit over to the west. Geography is not my strong suit, and it's not my job. Thank God. So yeah, well, we'll look forward to Salem softball this season to get back on track and get into kind of what they're bringing to the table. Obviously, they have some good returning bats in their lineup that I think are developing and getting better and better. But I think what's really going to surprise some people and really be impressive that those freshmen in the circle that are coming up for them, after last season, a lot of people outside the program were thinking, okay, you'll lose Riley Troy, who pitched a lot of your innings, probably 90% of your innings. And how are you going to replace that? And, well, they're going to replace it with some depth in the circle with a pair of freshmen that really complement each other's styles. You can throw one for velocity, throw one for spin, and they're going to be fun to watch this year. Salem going to try to knock on the door of that EBC that it's had, that Marlington and West Branch have had a stranglehold over the last couple years. A lot of people think it's going to be the same way, but Salem, they're kind of putting their nose into that conversation a little bit. They were sniffing it last year. They got into some competitive games in the EBC. They want to break down that door this year and stop sniffing and start eating in the EBC. Can't wait to watch them and the rest of the teams play this year. We're officially 5 days away from opening day, but like I said, in 7 days, by next Monday, every single softball and baseball team will be on opening day. Some of them have that Saturday, on Saturday where they're opening, but everyone will be opening, weather permitting, by next Monday. So we are so excited. We're going to continue our softball previews throughout the week here on Running Point and on Talk More with Matt Morrison. He'll continue previewing spring sports as well. Tomorrow we're going to be able to play an interview with you guys from Christina Dugan, the head coach of the Ysn softball team. So that's going to be fun, and we'll continue our softball previews. We have Champion scheduled this week with Cheryl Weaver. We have Hubbard scheduled this week with Bill Amaro. So we'll have some more previews. Those are the ones that we have locked down. We also have Coach Fallhaber from Garrettsville Garfield locked down as well. So those are just some coaches that we'll have. We're definitely reaching out to everybody. We're going to try to get to as many as possible throughout this week before the season kicks off. And then, of course, we're not going to cut it off when the season starts. We'll continue to talk to coaches as the season goes on, and we'll get player profiles as well from everybody. It's going to be a fun spring sports season. We have concluded the coverage of the team aspect of basketball. We put a ribbon on it with a state championship. We're going to celebrate everybody on Saturday with an all-star game, and then we are diving headfirst, metaphorically. We're not taking a swan dive, but we're diving headfirst into the spring sports season 2 days after that on the Monday, where we go right into baseball and softball. So we're excited for it. We can't wait for it. And like I said, tomorrow we'll have another coach to play with Christina Dugan, the head coach of the Ysn Irish softball team. Also on tomorrow's show, we're going to share an interview with Kate Chrisman. She is, of course, the daughter of great head coach Dave Crispin, and she talked with us last week, and I say us, and I mean me, about mental health and what kind of strain it might put on a student athlete going from their second sport to their third. And while we have this kind of break in the action, we thought it would be a great time to get her on and talk a little bit about things these kids are going through these days that are a little bit new with all the social media progressions and all the progressions in technology that are just, making life a little bit different than what we had even when me and her were in middle school. So it's a great conversation. We're going to play that tomorrow as well. And we're going to have a fun show on Running Point tomorrow from 1 to 2. So that'll do it for today's show, though. we'll wrap it up. We'll see you tomorrow from 1 to 2. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Running Point. As always, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2.